Hello, welcome to my home. Welcome to Bye Bye Loneliness and Chat and Collage. I'm Jean, and this is video number 28. And I thought I'd show you, on 27 I showed you one of my larger ones that I framed. And here's another one. It's so big I don't think I have to hold it way back here. And yeah, it's going to have a little bit of reflection, but I closed. Let's try this. What if I turn off my light? Okay, that helps a little bit. So I want you to see, so this was from just a circular with the lights and all that from a town just up the road, 20 minutes. But I added all those birds and whatnot. I added the cat, and these are two separate images. And then further down here, I think this background was from L.L. Bean. And then I found this frog someplace and this woman dancing, and that's a separate image too. And then further down, I found the background. I don't know if that was a travel brochure, and I don't know where I found those three women with the braids, but that worked out really well. And then the cat sniffing at the glass, and then the mouse. And then further down in the corner is my cat in another little background. And then here was another background I found. And I believe the elephant was separate. This little dog, have him hanging off of the top of this area. And then this area where the dove is flying, that was another separate image I found of like the side of a room with all those windows. So that was a big deal, and I love it. And it's one of my husband's favorites, and it hangs on the wall right next to me here on the couch. So let me put that aside. And because of how you frame, framing a collage is tricky, and I had no idea. I just thought we would put the collage and the mat on front of it, but you can't do that with a collage for some reason. I can't remember the reason. So first you put the background, this white, which looks like a mat, and then it has to have air. You know, the collage can't be right up against the glass. I know, I learned a lot. And so there's little spacers between the glass and that background white, and then they put on the collage, and that's just, I don't even know how that's hanging there. It's hanging there with special kind of framing hangers for collage. So I always have to keep it upright. Okay. Let's get that over there and get some light back on. Oh no, that's too much light. All right, so here we are. And I don't know if it was 2 videos ago, but we had been working on this one with the little blue bubbly things. And I really liked it a lot, and I wanted to make a few more. So I needed to print out the background. And I had already glue sticked on, you know, a lot of these images with the cat and the women and the kayakers and the boarder, you know, whatever they do, waterboard, paddle boarders, and all that. So then I made a copy right directly onto cardstock. And when you make a copy directly onto cardstock, for some reason, the color doesn't come out as vibrant as it does if I would have printed that directly onto just copy paper, regular copy paper. So I did this one, and I had the dog here, and I did not have any of the blue bubblies because I could have made copies of the blue bubblies too. No. We can do so many things. We have such power. And then here's another one. And instead of the dog here, I put my cat, Hannah, when she had her arms crossed, when she was cleaning herself, grooming. And I had one of these bubblies. I had a half of one left, so I put that there. So what I do when I feel like, you know, the color isn't as vibrant, I get out my colored pencils and I fill it in. So now I have 3 of these that I like a lot, and I feel like I need to make Hannah a lot more vibrant because she's sort of just blending into that background. And she's really quite, well, was, you know, she went to Kitty Heaven last year, but she was a lot more orange than people would think. So I just wanted to go over that quickly. And then I will also use either a paper cutter or scissors to cut these out to a good size to fit in envelopes. I can be not very good at sizing when I get the images onto a document on my computer, even though the ruler is there. I don't know why. I look at it and look at it, and I'm always a little bit off. So it might seem a little darker in here because I closed more of the blinds because I was hoping there wouldn't be as much reflection when I showed you my larger framed collage. Okay, that's that, and let's tilt down now, and let's see. Yeah, we're gonna tilt down and turn the tripod over here and maybe tilt it up a little bit. There we go. Okay. So this is from last week. And if you remember, instead of these lakes, there was a bald eagle flying through. And I didn't have the glass of wine here or the guy with the funny hat. So I did add those. And then myself, this was, you know, an option. I was reading at a coffee shop from a poetry book. And I will definitely take out my colored pencils to, you know, make these green, you know, my shirt more vibrant and maybe my face a little bit too. So that one's done, and I still need to sign it. Don't forget, sign all your collages. We are artists. And I sign it pretty sloppy. You see that kind of on like Antiques Roadshow or something, and they'll be like, this is a very important painting from blah, 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 and you can't even read the name. It's just like, they go like that. All right, so the one we're gonna work on today, I was thinking that there are lots of people who like more beige and white tones. So I brought out this one. I said, I think I'll do more beige and white tones just to show people that I don't always have to do the same thing. I know. How are you all? I hope you're good today. We're still getting rain. We needed it bad, so no one's complaining. Because usually people around here who are used to, you know, 363 days of sun, if we get any kind of rainy days, 1 or 2 in a row, or, you know, 2 in a row, people go kind of kabonkers. Now, I found this, and I can't remember what it was, part of a robe or something, and the guy holding, so I cut, okay, this window, so I cut this window down to here, so I could slip this guy in through the back, and have the glass of wine, looks like, you know, it's very festive. And then this was some kind of scarf or part of a robe. Now maybe you have an eye picture of your granddaughter or grandson, or someone in your family. You could put their eye back there. If you find some kind of image like this that you can cut out a section. And then I found all this very fluffy part of a dress. So I thought that needs to go down there somewhere. And this, staying in line with the color scheme. So we're staying in the creams and beiges and a little gray and white. And a bunch of books. I like that for sure. Coffee cup with the saucer. Now this is the palette for an artist with their paints, and I found this flower, and they had their fingers coming through here, so I cut their fingers off or out, and I put this flower through. So I thought either I would like to just stay with the, let me do this so we can get a better idea. I don't know how that horse got there. So this would be the edge here. And I do this myself because I want to see how it's going to look. I'll use this right here. So this will be the edge of, so it'll be that much of the white fluffy part of a dress there. And that will be it. So you're like, I kind of like that. Or maybe, because I am who I am, I'll put this splash of color down here and everybody would be like, what? Everything was nice and beige and gray and cream. And then there's this horse grazing. And that could be down, or that could be, oh, I know. It could be out here in the field through the window. I kind of like that the best. So I'm either going to go with the white fluffy, which I'm kind of leaning towards because it goes with this, the books, or the easel with all the paint blobs and the flower coming through the middle. So I will work on that and show it to you next time. So let me get that all up. I thought it was fun to work with just the plain looking colors. Put that aside. And I often just put things right into a magazine. And I can get to it easily. Here's a bunch of images. And I was wondering what to talk about today. So I went into my files of things I've written. So what can I talk about? And I don't know if you got, okay, I was brought up in the 60s and early 70s. And in the summertime, we didn't do anything. We didn't belong to a pool or a club or anything. All we did was sit on our front porches and play Monopoly sometimes and that kind of thing. Every once in a while, and maybe this happened in your family too, on a Saturday morning, hot as all get out, I grew up on the East Coast, hot and humid. Instead of my dad coming down in his t-shirt and sloppy shorts, doing whatever he's going to do for a Saturday, work on the car or work in the basement, he comes downstairs in his khaki pants and a nice, short sleeve white shirt and makes this declaration that we kids are not just going to be lazing around and playing all summer. We're going to have some education. And he decides we're going to go to Gettysburg or Luray Caverns or one of those kind of things. There were 5 of us. There's total 6 of us, but our older brother was so old, he was already gone off to college. Actually, he went to seminary. He was going to be a priest. But he went through the whole seminary college, and then more, you know, whatever kind of additional training they had. And then he decided not to be a priest. But anyway, I got off track. So it's 5 of us. My dad's got this big Buick station wagon. And I go running to my mom because this is not the first time he had made this declaration that we're going to take a field trip, educational field trip, on a hot Saturday in the summer. I said, Mom, Dad says we're going to go to Luray Caverns. And she goes, I didn't hear anything about that. But that's what he would do. And he'd bring out the map and he'd be all happy and show us the route we're going to take. And my dad wasn't typically like real happy. not around us kids anyway. So funny how that generation, you know, they had their specific roles of parent, you know, the father, the mother, they did their certain things, and their behavior and what they said to us kids was like a script, and they didn't go off of it. So to see him like, oh, happy and showing us the map and all this. Now, my dad was a pilot in the Air Force and the Air National Guard, so he loved to travel. So he was probably getting in a good mood, you know, he's going to travel, and he's going to be a good father and do this with the kids. Well, of course, you know, my mom's got to get the cooler out and fill with ice and make sandwiches and drinks, or I don't know what we drank back then, water, I guess. And everyone's got to go, 5 of us got to go to the bathroom before we leave, make sure we're dressed, and go out in the car. No one had air conditioning in cars back then. It was horrible. So I wrote a story about that, but it got to be like 7 pages long, double spaced. I wasn't going to read you guys the whole story. And my one brother always threw up, and then if he threw up, I threw up. We had the station wagon thing where the 2 seats in the back faced the opposite way, and my brothers were, of course, always fighting. And then my dad was, you know, reaching back and, you know, trying to slap them to stop fighting. And then he would decide to go the back roads through the country instead of on the highway, which would be the quicker way. And he would go, I mean, you know, it was like roads like this, and he would be going really fast, and we're not in seatbelts, so we were like, whoa, you know, we're just little kids, didn't weigh a lot, and we would like hit the ceiling and come crashing down, and my mother said, telling my dad, Bob, don't do that. And she's trying to read the map because he always got lost. So I thought I'd share that story. And I am going to work on that collage, and then I'm going to try and remember to put the loveforourelders.org into the comments. So if you're making collages and you want somewhere to send them, that's a good place to send them. And you can invite any of your friends to watch my YouTube videos here if you think they would like them, and say a little bit of bye-bye to loneliness. And just like regular chat and collage, like you're right here with me at my home. And I'm so glad, I'm so happy, and I feel a little less lonely, and just really happy we had this time together. So I'll see you next time. Bye.